going? Welcome back to Chompin' at the Bit. Now, you saw the title, you already know what it's about. Gonna talk about the NFL season week one. Some interesting things happened. So I'm gonna give you my thoughts on a couple of the games, couple of performances. Then we have to review my picks. Spoiler alert. Actually, I'm not even gonna spoil it. I'm gonna let you see how well I did and let you attach your own adjective to my performance. But before we get into all that, greatly appreciate you for clicking on the video. And go ahead, hit the like button, subscribe, share, follow. You know what you need to do. Really helps out. Appreciate everything. Let me know in the comment section, how did your team do? So let me know who your team is and they won, they lost, if you like their performance, if you see a lot of work that needs to be done, let me know down in the comment section. We'll have some fun with it there. If you are new to the channel, I'm a Patriots fan, so you will be getting some of my Patriots insight week in and week out. I, pick each game on the schedule. That's usually midweek. Actually, no. Midweek we'll pick the Thursday night game. The rest of my picks come end of the week, Friday, Saturday. Early in the week, we take a look back at the week prior, and like I said, give you my insight on a few games. Don't need to go over all of them. I'll touch on all of them, but I'll go a little bit deeper on the games that really caught my attention. All right, so with that, let's go ahead, get it going. You already know. Gotta pull up the old side by side. First off, we gotta start with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, you guys have seen all the talk shows and everything. Aaron Rodgers is the biggest news coming out of the week. If you don't know what happened, I guess the quick backstory. He was in Green Bay, seemingly was getting more and more unhappy with each year. Decided to move on, let everybody know. He pulled a Dame Lillard, was like, I want to go to New York. Unlike Dame, he actually got to New York. Dame wants to go to Miami. Hasn't gotten there yet. That's for another video, for another day. But Rodgers gets there. Jets fans are elated. They feel like this is finally the year where they get that star quarterback to pair up with that defense and they can make some noise. Well, the hype lasted 4 plays. 4 plays in, as you can see from the image here. And audio people, I should have said what's going on to all of you. But it's the image of the tackle that led to Aaron Rodgers tearing his Achilles. He was in the grass. He was trying to push off his back leg, and it just gave way. It's unfortunate. He's 39 years old. Achilles injuries are already terrible to deal with, much less for a guy who's 39, almost 40. The question's obviously going to be asked, is this the end of Aaron Rodgers' career? Or will the competitor in him want him to maybe give it one last run to try to get that second Super Bowl ring? We'll see. If I were to guess, I would say he tries one more year. Tries to give it a go. Maybe it's something like he goes to a training camp. If he feels right, he continues on. If the injury's just taken too much of his mobility away, finds it too hard to push off his back leg on throws, then maybe he retires next season. But I definitely don't think it's the last time we will see Aaron Rodgers on a football field. But yeah, so Jets' hopes were dashed. In went Zach Wilson. Seemingly, you would think, if I painted a scenario to you, that Buffalo has Josh Allen, a guy that, cover athlete for Madden. Everybody seemingly wants him to be a future MVP. Leading one team, on the other team, the star guy's gone. They're bringing in the the top draft pick who didn't live up to it, you would think Buffalo would win the game. I assure you, they did not. They lost it in overtime on a punt return touchdown. Josh Allen was reckless with the ball. He, threw interceptions all over the place. He had a fumble. And in a game like that, where the other team is definitely reeling with their star quarterback going out, giving them turnovers is just a way to give them confidence, and we saw it throughout the night. The Jets defense was all over the place. They hard hitting, great coverage, and they just made it tough on Buffalo. But I guess to rewind it back just a little bit before moving on. So Aaron Rodgers, the result is he's out for the year. 4 plays. That's it. That's all we saw of him in a Jets uniform this season. 4 plays, tears his Achilles, and he's gone. Some of you might be saying, as a Patriots fan, how do you feel? Well, look, it's definitely an advantage. You would think the Jets are now out of the conversation. For Aaron Rodgers, who's a guy, I never bought into the hype of, still never want to see something like this happen. Because if you remember my season preview episode, which you can go check out after this one, that was maybe 4 or 5 episodes ago. But I said dream scenario was week 18, Jets, Patriots, both teams needed to get in. Patriots get the win, and the Jets miss the playoffs that way. Well, looks like we're not going to get that scenario unless Zach Wilson has just learned so much from Aaron Rodgers that he plays at a level we just have never seen. That's the lasting hope for the Jets, because if that isn't what's going to happen, then they have to dip into the free agent pool or trade for somebody's backup, something like that, to try to get somebody in there. Because with the defense that they have, as good as it is, they don't want to necessarily waste this opportunity. But if Aaron Rodgers wants to come back next year, it kind of limits the person you can go out and trade for. Because if you have Rodgers that you're paying, you don't want to bring in a high price guy and then you're paying a lot into that position. So I think over the next couple of days, we're going to start seeing some names attached to the Jets backup role, or possibly a replacement for Zach Wilson if he proves to not be ready. You're going to see names probably like Carson Wentz has been kicked around, Colt McCoy, Andy Dalton, Cooper Rush. I mean, who knows? Tom Brady, which better not happen, should not happen, and if you ask me, will not happen. So like I said, I talked about Aaron Rodgers there. There was a quarterback on the other side of the equation. That was one Mr. Josh Allen. So as I said, Josh Allen did Josh Allen stuff, which is one of the things that, once again, to reference another episode, I did a top 10 quarterback episode going into this season. I left Josh Allen out of my top 5, controversial to some, but performances like last night are the reason why I did it. There were several times, and this is a guy who previous seasons loved to run, big body, would run for those tough yards on scrambles. Last night, for some reason, he just scrambled out to throw those lifesaver jump balls down the field that never went to his receiver. They seemingly all were picked off. He threw 3 interceptions to Whitehead, and as the broadcast said, he had never had 3 interceptions in a season. How does that work? But he gets 3 in one night. Then he had a fumble on top of that. So Josh Allen was just the cause of all the turnovers. At the press conference, he said it's all on him, which, who's gonna argue that? It clearly was all on you. But it speaks to a larger issue with Josh Allen, with Buffalo. Since that playoff game where they, lost to the Chiefs after getting up a score in like the final 25 seconds, Dayball moves on. This Buffalo Bills team just seems to progressively get worse and worse. A lot of that you can point to the quarterback play, which has suffered since Dayball left. It's not even like Josh Allen doesn't have an arm, because he does, we know that. It's the decision making. There's too many times where it's like he could scramble, maybe pick up 4 or 5 yards, call it a day, or throw it underneath, get like a nice little 7-8 yard gain, but no, he wants to throw it downfield. And then these analysts will sit there on broadcast and talk about, well, it's as good as a punt, which I guess, but you could also just punt the ball. Because on a punt, you never know. Returner could muff it, could, I don't know, whatever. You could pin them even deeper. They allow the punt to go by, gets a nice bounce, who knows? If you're just throwing interceptions, it's unnecessary turnovers. And for a team that has some kind of talent like Buffalo does, it just doesn't seem necessary. Like if Josh Dobbs down in Arizona wants to do it every couple of times just to try to manufacture some points, I could live with that. I could see that reasoning. What's the need for Josh Allen to do it? What, to prove he has this strong arm? Great. But if you're just going to throw interceptions with it, I don't care. So, Bills Mafia and all that, you have to hope that this week in practice and everything, some coach gets in his ear, some player gets in his ear, and just lets him know, like, don't do that. If you're gonna throw the ball deep, throw it to where your receiver head can make a play on it. Worst case, he knocks it down. Maybe the occasional one gets intercepted. But some of those that he was throwing was like, the receivers in like double, triple coverage. By the time the ball gets to him, there's like 4 or 5 guys in the area. Those throws you don't need. But, like I said, Jets have their issues with Aaron Rodgers. Bills seem like they have issues with Josh Allen and his decision making. All of a sudden, the division's kind of looking a little better, isn't it, Patriots fans? But yes, let's move on. So other action in week 2 that, like I said, caught my eye, got my attention. Brock Purdy and the Niners. A lot of people were high on the Steelers in this one because of TJ Watt, because of their, I guess, lack of belief in Brock Purdy being able to repeat what he did at the end of last season. Well, the Niners completely destroyed the Steelers. Ayuk had a big day. Brock Purdy had a big day. For the Steelers, Kenny Pickett could do nothing. And now, looking at the two teams, some people think this could be the end of Mike Tomlin's streak. Others believe that the Niners might once again be clearly, arguably, second best team in the NFC, no question. Where I think going into this week, some people had the Niners as middle of the road because they just didn't know what they were going to get from Brock Purdy. If Brock Purdy and this Niners team plays this way offensively, then NFC title game is just the beginning. Like, they're a team that legitimately could be in a Super Bowl matchup. But they need more days like yesterday from Brock Purdy in that offense. Next, Jordan Love. I thought Jordan Love was great against the Bears. Yes, the Bears aren't, some all-time great defense, but we didn't know anything about Jordan Love. He'd been sitting behind Aaron Rodgers for so long. The few times we saw him, he looked lost. So what was the reason to be optimistic going into this game against the Bears? But like I said, you watched the game, you saw him looking comfortable, kind of playing free and loose, a little bit of improv. It seemed like at times behind the line. And I said this before. The maneuvers that they put in place to go up and get Jordan Love when they did, this is probably a move they should have made 2 years ago. Ultimately, what we saw with Aaron Rodgers, after the one Super Bowl and the Super Bowl appearance he made, he wasn't good enough to get him back to another one. So if that's the case, and they were kind of doing a halfway rebuild, halfway contend type of thing, they would have been better off getting the Jordan Love development going sooner. But like I said, first game, love what I saw from him. We'll see now what he does to kind of counteract some defenses who may want to take away what they're now getting tape on from him. The throws he likes to make, how accurate he is. When does he look to use his legs? When does he doesn't? So, it's just interesting when it comes to inexperienced quarterbacks or young quarterbacks early in the NFL season. Could go either way. But Jordan Love, shout out to you. You know, Packers are 1-0. And who knows? Maybe we were all underestimating the prospect that Jordan Love was. Well, you know, if I was wrong with that, I'm willing to admit that. I do think I was one of those who didn't buy into Jordan Love coming into that draft, but he definitely showed me something. Okay, so the next game, Browns-Bengals. This one, maybe the most shocking, and not necessarily for the final numbers, at least of the team, but Joe Burrow had a rough go of it. I believe his final numbers, he threw for 82 yards. Myles Garrett was putting pressure on him. We know he's not the most mobile guy, but with those three wideouts, tight end that's, you know, serviceable, you rarely think the Bengals would ever get blown out or anything like that. But I mean, insert Cleveland and what they did, ran effectively. Watson didn't even have a great game, but they still managed to get it done. And now there's so many questions about the Bengals coming out of it. Like, are they ready for the next step? Are they legit? Gotta remember, the Bengals started off slow last year, really turned it on. And that's something that could be at work here. You know, they have a difficult game next week with Baltimore. And Cleveland, what, the Steelers? I think Cleveland has. So, we'll see with these two teams. Don't overreact to week one. The Bengals could come back next week, drop 35 on the team, and we'll all be like, look, the offense is still fine. It's just, yeah, it's so difficult not to overreact. I will say that. But I'm just so high on Burrow and the Bengals. I think they get it done. I'm also high on Cleveland, so I'm fine. I was fine either way with whichever team won. But it's definitely something worth noting for next week. Will the Bengals continue to struggle, or does that offense just start going? And for Cleveland, after a divisional win like that, and then having to turn around and face another divisional opponent the second week, will they be able to get up for the Ravens game like they did for the Bengals game in such a, not necessarily a short window, but you know what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying. So, let's move on. Also, the clip of Myles Garrett kind of lining up over center and working on his crossover before the snap happened was a little funny to me. sure some people probably didn't like it, but it is what it is. All right, so next we have, it might be my Patriots here. Yes. So the Patriots played the Eagles. Line was what, 3.5, 4, 4.5, depending on when you saw it. I remember that there were some TV personalities who said that this line should have been much higher. The Eagles are a much better team. Eagles are going to just walk through New England. Not so fast. It looked that way when it was 16-0, the pick six, the fumble, short fields, all that good stuff for the Eagles. And the game could have gone left. Crowd booing, players are frustrated, but what do? They found a way to get the next score, closing the gap, pushing the pressure a little bit back towards the Eagles here. They slowly chipped away at it to the point where they were driving down the field with an opportunity to, I think, tie or take the lead late. But now, because of I feel like now, after watching the game, some people are kind of come more towards my side and others who said the Patriots team is not that bad. Stop overreacting to what you saw last year when there was a lot of dysfunction around the team in terms of the wrong guy as an offensive coach, calling the wrong plays or not seemingly having a game plan of sorts. Bill O'Brien, in his one game, looks like he has a wonderful, grasp of the offense and what it's capable of. And once he opened up the playbook kind of in the second half, Mac Jones was just finding people. So I wonder if we'll get more of that, spread type look when the Patriots face the Dolphins this week. But yeah, they lost 25-20, so I should have mentioned that. Like I said, defense looks great. Offense, when they opened it up, looked really good. But now let's go ahead and take a look at these picks. So I think what we're going to do is, like I said, with these episodes, look at like the 3, 4, 5 games that caught my attention, move into the picks where I can then kind of highlight the rest of the games, and we'll just keep moving from there. So this past week I went 5-11. Terrible. Could have been worse. Just saying. The Jets game could have easily been a loss with the way that Zach Wilson necessarily looked. I mean, yeah, a lot of these wins are kind of very slim margin. Some losses were unfortunate. The New England one, I picked them. They were, 1.5 away from covering. Some other games out there. But yeah, so let's take a look at this. So Chiefs, Lions, we already knew that was from Thursday night. Most people probably got that wrong unless you're a Lions fan. Steelers, Niners, bought into the Steelers hype. Oddly enough, I'm in a pick'em league on ESPN. Picked that game completely different. I had the Niners on that one. Have no idea why I did Niners there, but Steelers here on the broadcast. But I gotta live with it. Falcons and Panthers, which being in the Atlanta area, I watched that game very closely. Bryce Young struggled much like the other young quarterbacks, but it seemed like Bryce Young struggled the most, surprisingly. Made the Falcons defense look legit. Want to see what they do against a better offense. But I was impressed. Texans, Ravens. Ravens didn't play that well. They did enough to win, 25-9 or something like that. 22-9, I believe. Lamar didn't throw any touchdowns. He threw an interception. J.K. Dobbins got hurt. He's out for the season. Ravens in the bounce back game. Because they win that because of the inexperience of C.J. Stroud and this Texans team. We already mentioned Cleveland and Cincinnati, so I'll move on. Vikings, Bucks, another interesting game. Bucks pulled that one out. Baker Mayfield looked good for the Vikings. I think Kirk Cousins was fine. Everybody else kind of was. Mm. So they fall to their, not even their rivals. I almost said their division rival, but they fall to their NFC rival. We'll say NFC opponent, Bucks. So that was another loss. I mean, you see all the L's on here. Washington, Arizona. Josh Dobbs era started in Arizona. He was okay. Washington did enough to win it. I still have a lot of expectations for Washington to be in the wild card situation, whether or not they get a spot or not, but they should be. More competitive, we'll say, for a playoff spot. Titans, Saints. Some might say one of the boring games of the slate. I thought it was fine. Seeing, I don't know, it was just two teams playing pretty good defense. A couple of offenses that I think didn't take necessarily advantage of a couple of situations, and we ended up with a 1 point game. It was like 16-15, something like that. If you're either fan base, you're not getting too high or too low off of this game. There you go. That's kind of what it is. Next at Jags and the Colts. Anthony Richardson, first start, looked good. Might look the best out of the rookie quarterbacks. CJ Stroud, Trevor Lawrence with the Jags showed why I've been saying the Calvin Ridley edition is going to pay off big for them. Ridley gives them a legit, number one-ish type of receiver. He was also Ridley put up, I think, decent numbers in fantasy. So if you're a fantasy football player, Calvin Ridley definitely pulled through for you. But yes, like I said, Anthony Richardson had a couple of touchdowns. Like, it's hard not to grade these young guys on a different scale because they're still trying to get used to everything. So I do think we'll see some much better play from Richardson later on. But yeah, they're going up against a good Jags team. Seahawks Rams. I took the Seahawks in that one. I thought most people probably would. Lost to the Rams. Completely surprised by it. And yeah, it's week one. I don't want to just overreact to every little game. But if you're a Rams fan, I guess you're kind of encouraged because Matt Stafford looked okay. And you beat a divisional foe. It's always a good day. But I fully expect the Seahawks to bounce back. Patriots Eagles, I already talked about it. Defense played really well. Jalen Hurts, they bottled him up. They gave up very few somewhat chunk plays. But yeah, I thought defense stepped up, and I thought the offense progressively got better over the course of the game. To now looking ahead, I hope they can put together some more good performances, because I do think that they will win more than people think. I really do. I really believe that. I feel even more confident in that after this Eagles game. As crazy as that may sound, that after a loss, my confidence shoots up a little bit more. But yeah, they held the Super Bowl runner-up to, the pick six. Yeah, it was like 6 points after the first quarter or something like that. So Yeah, and the first quarter was all about short field and the pick six, like I said. So the Eagles' offense didn't have to do much early on in that game. Broncos Raiders. The Broncos disappointed again after last season. I was starting to buy back in. They're not ready yet. Oh, Sean Payton, it was his first job. First game with the Broncos. Give him some time to, I guess, fix Russell Wilson. Turn that team around. Bears Packers. I talked about this as well. Jordan Love was really good. They beat the Bears 38-20. Bears really struggled. So if you're a Bears fan, you're hoping that offensive line behind Justin Fields gets it together sooner rather than later. Yeah. Let's see. Got these last three games here. Dolphins Chargers was probably the most entertaining game of the weekend. Old-fashioned shootout between the two teams, just going at each other back and forth. And ultimately, the Dolphins came out on top as Tyreek Hill proved to be too much for the Chargers. Side note, J.C. Jackson, remember him? When the Patriots let him sign with the Chargers and everybody's like, oh, Bill's cheap. They're going to regret that. You watch this game, it might have been one of the worst performances from J.C. Jackson. Hold on. I just lost my train of thought. But he was really good getting open down the field against J.C. Jackson. There was, a 3-play stretch where I don't think they were right after each other, but there's like 3 key plays in this game, all involving J.C. Jackson. There's one at the end of the first half. He, for whatever reason, shoved the Dolphins receiver down, got a flag, led to an untimed down. Dolphins kick a field goal. Then there was the play when he was in, I think, one-on-one with Tyreek Hill, and he got completely burnt. Then, it was just a really good performance from the Dolphins. As I said a little earlier, they are the scariest team in the AFC East to me as a Patriots fan. I think the wild thing is the defense probably will just get better, especially once Jalen Ramsey comes back, as Vic Fangio continues to mold the defense into his own image. It might be time to get the Dolphins now early in the season. I do want to see what my Patriots do against them next week. Obviously, I'm not going to give a pick to that because the picks episode is later this week. Giants Cowboys, especially for it to be in a primetime game, might have been one of the worst of the weekend. Giants just no-showed it. I mean, hey, you do you, Giants. Like, first Sunday night game of the year, all the attention on you, and you laid that egg. The Giants offensive line couldn't stop Cowboy penetration. Yeah. Defensively, they couldn't do much. You had bad turnovers. It's like everything down the checklist of terrible performance. Cowboys hit them all. Once again, week 1, can't panic. Cowboys fans, you know your team's gonna win like 10, 11 games. Be fine. So it's not that bad. At least not yet. And then finally at Jets Bills. It was, as I said, Bills missed an opportunity with Rodgers going down early. Josh Allen's decision making is awful, like ridiculously awful. You're starting to get a lot of these conversations with people on TV about Josh Allen being turnover prone. They kind of pushed it off as far as they could, but after Monday night, that just has to be part of the conversation. Unnecessary, foolish. It's the type of plays that could send locker rooms spiraling downward, because you'll have receivers who feel like that they're open, not getting the ball. You have a quarterback that will continue to show frustration. You have a defense that will just get sick of constantly having to try to pick up for this guy's turnovers. So it's it's what it is. Like I said, 5-11 on the week. Not the greatest start, but it's also not the worst start I had over the weekend in terms of fantasy related NFL action. So I'm actually in another like group for pick'em games. It was a lot worse than that one. Actually, no, I think it turned out to be pretty decent in that one. But yeah, the 5-11 could have easily been like 8-8. That Patriots Eagles one, I could have covered that one. Just a bounce of the ball here or there. I mean, yes, I did get lucky with the Jets one, so that maybe counteracts that one. But yeah, so I think that's all I got for you. Yeah. So let me end that really quickly. So thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Like I said, audio people, what's going on? And once again, you will get this very shortly after the video gets posted and everything like that. Once again, glad to be back with you on the audio side. I think it's been like a year and a half since I was last able to make that work, but we're back. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Like, subscribe, share, follow, all that good stuff. Same to you on the audio side. If you give it a listen, please like the episode and follow the channel. Would greatly appreciate it. So with that, I leave you with, be safe out there. God bless, and I'll catch you on the next video, which should be Thursday, which at that point we're previewing Thursday Night Football matchup. Any other big news happens in between that, we'll talk about it. Then Friday or Saturday will be the rest of the picks leading you into week 2 weekend, which we have 2 Monday night games. Loving that. But yeah, so a lot of great games come up on in week 2. Also, you can put in the comment section if there's a story you want me to talk about. I guess it's like a couple of days old at least. Put it down in the comment section. Who knows? Maybe it gets added in the next video. I definitely want to give you a chance to have a say in how the episode goes. So down in the comment section, let's have some fun. So yeah, I'll give you the rest of your day. Enjoy it. And just enjoy life for every little thing it's giving you, no matter how big or small. Try to keep a smile on your face. So I'm out of here, and I'll catch you later. Be good.